This client was drowning. Revenue was in free fall and they had negative cash flow for 6 straight months. Email marketing was doing absolutely nothing. They said, Zach, we have 8 weeks of runway left. And after that, we're done. But something about their business wanted me to take a second look, and I'm glad that I did. Within 90 days, we completely flipped their email program. They went from losing money to generating an extra $43,000 per month purely from fixing these 8 deadly email marketing mistakes that were silently killing their business. My name is Zach Schieffer, and last year my team helped our e-commerce clients generate over $20 million from email and SMS alone. And after auditing hundreds of Klaviyo accounts, I've seen these exact same 8 deadly mistakes over and over again. Mistakes that are probably costing you thousands in lost sales. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what we did to fix this for our client. These are the exact same fixes that can transform your e-commerce business overnight. There's no theory, no fluff, just the exact process that we used to help this brand go from barely surviving to thriving. Let's dive in. Mistake number one is having the double opt-in on. This can cost you thousands of dollars every single day because it massively slows your list growth, which means less people enter your flows and less people can receive your campaigns. Really, the only time you want to have this turned on is in very specific circumstances, like if you're facing massive deliverability issues. In that case, yes, you can use the double opt-in because you're going to increase the quality of subscribers that you get. But besides that, though, we always want to be using the single opt-in. So if you don't know how to turn this on, you can simply follow these steps here. Log into your Klaviyo account, go to lists and segments, then select your main list, click on settings, go to consent, and make sure you have single opt-in turned on. So you want to do this whether you have one list, and especially if you have multiple lists, you want to do this for every single list. Mistake number two is way overcomplicating your flows. I see so many brands that have this mistake of extremely overcomplicated flows with too many trigger and conditional splits, multiple overlapping sequences where people can get double emailed and they can just get spammed. And there's just way too many A/B tests going on, especially with unimportant and low revenue producing emails. So for example, email number 5 within your win back flow does not need to be split tested as much as email number 1 and number 2 within your welcome series. That's just an example there. But overall, I see too many brands that have way too much going on. They have these crazy conditional splits. They're trying to do way too much all at once. And at the end of the day, their most important flows don't get optimized because they're trying to do just all these different crazy things with their flows. It adds a massive layer of complexity, which makes your automations harder to scale and optimize. In this case, less is more. Keep your flows simple, make them easy to update. Don't have 5 different flows all with the same trigger where people can potentially get spammed if you're not careful. Don't go crazy with the segmentation, especially at the start, and don't put in all these crazy A/B tests if you're not actually tracking those results. Get the basics nailed down first, and then you can expand and double down on what's working. But don't go crazy at the start because you're gonna forget about what your flows are doing. And a lot of these flows can overlap and it can just lead to a terrible customer experience. Real quick here, if you're running a D2C brand and you want my help implementing everything in this video and maximizing your email and SMS revenue, go ahead, click on the first link in the video description. I helped my clients do over $20 million last year, and I'm sure that I can help you as well. Mistake number 3 here is not having both the cart and checkout abandonment. This is absolutely one of the most common mistakes. It's a huge misconception about flows in general. So many brands think that they have an abandoned cart flow set up, but in reality, it's actually an abandoned checkout flow. These are 2 completely separate flows, and understanding that makes a huge difference. If you have one but not the other, you're likely losing a ton of money. As you can see here, the abandoned checkout is based on the started checkout metric, and the abandoned cart is based on the added to cart metric. So these are 2 separate metrics, separate triggers that you need to really have both if you want to actually bring in the most amount of revenue possible from email marketing. Even just adding this abandoned cart flow can double your cart recovery and massively increase sales. So previously this required installing this added to cart metric manually, but now Klaviyo and Shopify have made it super easy with an update. So if you want to make sure that you're using the right metric, just go into your Klaviyo account, go to integrations, select Shopify, and make sure that this added to cart metric is actually enabled. So mistake number 4 is combining email and SMS into the exact same welcome flow. We all know that including both email and SMS is great to do, but what we don't want to be doing is adding both of these channels into the exact same welcome flow. This is an issue because people, if they are subscribed to just one channel, but not the other, let's say John comes in and he just gives his email, but not his phone number, he's going to go through the email welcome flow and he's going to get skipped from the SMS messages. But if he signs up for SMS later, he can't actually go through that same exact welcome flow again because he already went through it. And the reason that he can't go through it twice is because the trigger for a welcome flow is being added to a certain list, like your newsletter list. And you can only get added to that list once. So the best way to do this is keeping SMS and email welcome flows separate. So for our email welcome flow, we typically have 4 to 10 emails in a sequence with a few days of gap in between. And for our SMS welcome flow, it's typically around 3 SMS messages with, again, a few days gap in between. Now, mistake number 5 is using a shared sending domain. So this is one of the worst mistakes that you can do as an e-commerce brand if you're serious about increasing your email revenue, because if you're sharing your IP with other brands, that means if they screw up and they ruin their deliverability, yours will take a hit as well. And unfortunately, this is what Klaviyo sets you up with at the start. So you need to go in and manually set up what's called a branded sending domain or a custom sending domain. This lets you take control of your domain's reputation and it'll get you way better email deliverability. So all you got to do is follow these steps. So click in the bottom left corner of your Klaviyo account, click on your brand's name, go to settings, go over to domains, and connect your domain. You literally just go in there, you're going to change out a couple records. Might take a little bit of technical knowledge. I promise you though, it's pretty simple. You can just look up YouTube tutorials, use ChatGPT, Google, whatever, connect the domain, follow the steps on the screen. If you need help, reach out to me, obviously. But overall, this process takes less than 7 minutes and it's a massive deliverability upgrade. Mistake number 6 is using a basic one-size-fits-all post-purchase flow. I see this with so many brands nowadays. They send the exact same post-purchase email sequence to every single purchaser, but they forget something extremely important, and that is a first-time buyer and a VIP customer who's bought from you multiple times are completely separate people. Therefore, you should not treat them the same. Depending on how many times a customer has actually purchased from your brand, they should receive different things in your post-purchase flow. So you really want to break it down. What we like to do is first-time buyers, repeat purchasers, and then VIP customers. So that might be their 3rd or 4th purchase. So with first-time buyers, we're really just remembering that, hey, they haven't even gotten the product in their hands yet. So we want to still focus on education, how to use the product, what would actually go well with this product, how can you get the best and how can you get the most out of this product, and really just introduce them to the brand and make sure that they're on the same page. For repeat customers, this is really where you can increase that loyalty. You could think about things like upsells and cross-sells and really just increasing their loyalty to the brand. And then VIP customers is really where you want to go all in. You really want to look at things like exclusive perks, benefits, early access to your newest releases and offers. Things like product drops are going to work especially well with VIP customers and repeat customers as well. Both repeat and VIP customers are great to ask for reviews and referrals from. And overall, just tailoring your messaging to who's actually receiving the email is going to help you increase retention, and it's going to increase your customer lifetime value without annoying customers with irrelevant messages. Mistake number 7 is using smart sending. In theory, smart sending is a great tool to make sure your customers don't get bombarded with too many email and SMS messages. However, a majority of the time, we like to turn this off in both campaigns and within your flows. So yes, there are certain times that you should be using it, and I'll get to those in a second, but really with your welcome flow and with your abandonment flows and really any sort of high converting flow, you don't want to turn this on because doing so can cause Klaviyo to skip sending emails to people, and that can result in lost sales. So for example, if someone abandons their checkout, and let's say they got a campaign email 18 hours ago, would receive your abandoned checkout email, but if smart sending is turned on, then they will get skipped. They won't actually get that abandoned checkout email. And the issue is this abandoned checkout email is super high converting. It's going to bring you in a lot of revenue. And if you don't send it to a lot of people, then you're going to lose out a lot on your abandoned checkout revenue. So we sometimes do turn this on if a flow is getting super low engagement. Let's say it's a win back flow or something like that. We might turn this off, or we might turn it on just depending on how that engagement is going. And let's say if a flow is getting too many spam complaints at that particular point, we might turn smart sending on. But a majority of the time, we like to turn it off. So to turn it off, you can just simply follow these steps, log into your Klaviyo account, go to flows, select the actual flow that you're looking for, click on any of the emails within the flow, and you'll have to do this pretty much for each one in there. Go and turn smart sending off. So it should look like this. It'll say skip recently emailed profiles. Make sure this box is not ticked, and just go in there and make sure that this is off for really a majority of your flows. You will have to do this manually for each email, and Klaviyo does have it by default as on, but you will manually want to go in there and do it for each email. Make sure it's off. Definitely worth it. It's one of those small little things that makes a massive difference. All right, and last but not least, mistake number 8 here is not having Klaviyo and Shopify synced up. So aside from the pop-up forms on your sites, it's very common for people to get onto your email list through the checkout and that embedded form. However, there's a ton of brands out there that are not syncing the two, which means that they're getting all these people who are making purchases but are not getting added to the email list. So you can check this by going into your Klaviyo account, just going into that integrations tab there, choosing Shopify, making sure that your viewed product tracking is enabled, and making sure that Shopify is talking with Klaviyo. You want to do this for SMS as well, making sure that those two things are syncing up. And then also a little bonus tip here in Shopify, you can make sure that little tick box is checked automatically. So when people put in their email in the Shopify checkout, they'll automatically get added to your email list unless they like click the button that says, no, like I don't want to be added to the list. So most people are just going to leave that on by default. They're not going to do anything that with that little checkbox. So just making sure that's automatically ticked is a massive win for our clients. We always like to do that as soon as a client is onboarded. So that's the video here. If you're making any of these mistakes, we can help you fix it, and we can help you increase your monthly revenue for your D2C brand. So simply go to our website, zhs-ecom.com. It's the first link in the video description. Also, if you want to learn more about e-commerce email marketing, you can simply check out this video on screen right now that I posted a while back with 6 proven email marketing tactics for 2025. That being said, have an awesome rest of your day.